Hey guys, what's up? It's Marathon Men here. We're going to be doing another speedrun commentary, this time for Halo 2 Anniversary on easy difficulty. So we're just going to jump straight into it. This is Cairo Station. Cairo Station is the obligatory hallway level. So by positioning ourselves up top here, we can actually kind of jump into the door that's about to explode a little bit earlier. We don't take any damage, and we can just jump straight down into it once it opens up. So with these opening waves here, it's pretty important that I try and get a plasma pistol as early as I can. I think I tried to grab one there, but I think I moved away and the dialogue box disappeared on me. I'm going to try and grab that one there. And that's going to be extremely useful for our first hangar fight coming up here. So I'm going to overcharge, try and grab this elite, run to grab the grenades, then quickly take that guy out and try and grab any of the grunts that are hanging out. And ideally, I'm going to try and nab each of these waves with one grenade by either overcharging the elite or shooting him a couple times just to kind of keep him in place with the grenade so that they don't move away. This was a okay fight, a little slow. I had a few stragglers, but not too bad. And I think at this point I was just really tired of resetting on Kyra, so I was like, you know what, it's decent, I'll roll with it. So another thing to note is I'm actually looking at certain parts of the screen in order to make dialogue happen a bit faster. And then I'm positioned here to do the same thing I did earlier, drop down once that door explodes, and just slide right on in. Now we have Hangar 2. I'm going to quickly try and grab both of the turret grunts and then aim for this elite. And then with sticky grenades now, I'm going to try and usually stick someone on the way out of that lift. It'll just take out the entire wave. So there I grabbed the elite. Very good. And there's one grunt hiding back here that ran off, but that's really quick. Not too bad. So again, same thing. I'm going to try and make this dialogue speed up a little bit. I'm going to backtrack into this room for some BR ammo and notably a few extra frag grenades. That's going to be really important later on. Now we're going to wait for this door to open. And just make our way on through. On Legendary, you actually get the sword early, and so you can use it to get through these hallways a little bit quicker, but here we're actually going to grab the shotgun. And we can jump on top of this cover blockade here, or try to at least. Forgive the old sloppy movement, but we got up there. That's what's important. Now that Armory is no longer played in runs, Cairo is definitely, we're seeing riskier movement, riskier strats being implemented, and so it's just become that much more of a reset point. Alright, and this last part of the mission is going to be just making our way through the various outside sections before entering the bomb room. So, this is mostly just avoiding enemy fire and beelining it for this door. And here's where the frag grenades come into play. So there's going to be a wave of drones coming up, and we can throw a grenade and try and catch a couple of them as they come up. And then just nab any stragglers. You have to kill, I think it's 4 drones in order for this door to open up. So we're just going to clear that out. And wait for the second part to open up. And again, this is going to be just beelining it straight for our door, which This, like, elevator platform thing, I don't really know what it's supposed to be. It's on a certain cycle, so sometimes you'll see me jump over to the right just to grab on solid ground. Because if that thing lowers all the way back down, then I have to wait for it to go back up. So it's usually just better to, if you're not sure if you can make it, to just wait the extra second. Alright, so the final part is the bomb room. There are 4 elites and 2 grunts, and so we're going to be using the shotgun and trying to stick any stragglers, and I believe that is it. There's 1 grunt hiding back there. Okay. Met's Cairo Station. Bit sloppy, but that's okay. 5:30 is normally, like, I try not to go under 5 or go over 5:30, and this was 5:30 exactly, and I said, you know what, that is okay. Alright, so moving on to outskirts. Little fun fact about myself: the out of bounds sequence that we're gonna do straight at the start here, I've been doing since like 2008, 2009. So hop on that ledge, grenade jump up top here, and it's kind of a thing with Bungie games that pretty much everything is rendered. So if you really wanted to, you could explore every single rooftop in this area, every building. And so there's actually a couple different ways to get over to this area here. And by doing this out of bounds sequence, you skip, I think, like somewhere in the ballpark of 10 minutes of otherwise necessary combat, including hunters, and then going through a bunch of alleyways with jackal snipers, and it's a mess. So we're just gonna go out of bounds, and it takes us, you know, less than a minute. So now we're going to make our way over towards the Ghost, which is just down over this way by the Crash Pelican. And the rest of this mission is just driving through the subway tunnels. Some tight corners to maneuver around here, but it's not too bad. I will say this run was done on the Xbox One version of Master Chief Collection. So if you're playing on PC, driving's a little bit smoother, but you know, I'm just using the means that I have. Plus, after running this game for however long now, geez, I think it's 7 or 8 years now. I'm just used to playing on controller. So one thing to note, there's a warthog that flew out of there and then got blasted by the scarab. Sometimes that can get stuck in that gap that I just drove the ghost through. And so sometimes you have to kind of play off of that, and I accidentally clipped the side of the shadow there, so. I believe this outskirts was pretty smooth, though. And speaking of shadows, I'm going up this ramp here to actually avoid having to weave in and out of the 3 shadows here. It might go against the grain about kind of wanting to hug the inner wall there, but it's just way easier to have a more consistent line versus having to weave in and out of shadows and getting stuck and getting shot at, and it's a mess. So this actually works much better. Alright, we're coming up on the last room now. We're going to go ahead and turn this corner here. And weave through this final shadow. And an interesting thing to note is the shadows are only ever seen on this mission in the entire trilogy. And that's the end outskirts. Yeah, 4:36, and my fastest time is a 4:35, and there were lots of bonks there, so still pretty good. Okay, so Metropolis is a pretty interesting mission. First, we're going to actually skip the tank entirely and grab the Warthog because it's way faster. And then make our way across the bridge here. And this bridge is pretty straightforward. Just avoid the ghosts, the wraith, and any of the, like, fallen over buses and cars and whatnot. Alright, so we're going back into a subway tunnel. And the game wants you to get out and go on foot from this point, but we're not going to do that. You can actually squeeze the Warthog in through this gap if you drive carefully enough. And from here, we're going to try... I accidentally bumped that truck there, and so you can't really squeeze that gap, and so kind of got to go around. Again, the game doesn't really want you to do this, and I actually do something that I don't normally do, which is actually get out on foot and get the backup Warthog, so that's unfortunate. Again, the game doesn't really want you to go in there, so you can make it through pretty smoothly, but it's not the easiest thing to do. And I don't know why that melee canceled at Bungie. So we're just gonna grab this one. The Gauss Hog. It's cooler anyway. It's not faster, but it's way cooler. And so because of all of that, normally you have to be careful about the Scarab bumping into you, but we were too late for that, so that'll give you some indication as to how much this loses. Okay, so coming up, we have two wraiths, excuse me. Two wraiths. So we're gonna get out and immediately board the first one. You can just punch the elite straight out, and then we're going to use it, and it's an extremely effective way of taking out the second wraith. And there's also going to be coming up a phantom that drops a bunch of ghosts off, and we're just going to aim straight upwards and take out both ghosts and all the turrets on the phantom, and it's gonna just run away. And here we're going to actually swap some weapons. We're going to grab the rocket launcher and the shotgun. That'll be very effective in helping clear out the Scarab. So here I try a grenade jump. This is kind of goofy. You can actually board the Scarab early, but I just barely don't have enough height there. I jumped at a wrong time. And so, on easy, unless you have a really good checkpoint, it's normally not worth going for a second time. It's not worth reverting. It's just faster to wait by the door if you miss it the first time. So, if you're pushing for world record, you're still fairly early into the run, so it's usually worth it just to start a fresh run. Because it does save, I think, like 20 seconds or something, so it's pretty significant, but... We're just gonna jump this here. And then the end trigger is the 2 red elites and the silver elite back there. So, we're just going to not get lashed at. Pretty bad Metro overall, but that's okay. Good Metros are normally hovering around the 4-minute mark, and this was just barely under 5 minutes, so that leads you to believe. That was pretty sloppy. Okay, so, as you might believe, the Arbiter is the first mission where we're going to play as the Arbiter. It's also on easy the first time we're going to see sword tech. So for now, I'm actually going to kill all of our friendly Covenant allies here. And I kind of knocked that guy into the grenade because I missed the stick because bad at the video game, I guess. That skips a bunch of dialogue and waiting for this elevator here. That's where we're gonna come out. We're wearing a camo, and the big difference between Master Chief and the Arbiter is Chief has a flashlight, but Arbiter has camouflage, and that's gonna be really useful at a couple points throughout the run. So something interesting here. I'm gonna approach the backside and activate the elevator from the other side so that I can just jump down. It's a little bit faster. It just speeds up having to wait for it. So you're going to see something called a sword cancel coming up here. Never mind. I'm terrible. So. And I missed my window. You can swing, or lunge, I guess is the more technical term. You can lunge the sword if the reticle is red, and then a few frames after, press X, and you'll actually cancel the lunge animation, but you'll still get all the speed from the lunge, and you'll just go flying. So, I was trying to clear the hangar gap here, but didn't end up happening. So here I'm actually going to try and take out all of the flying sentinels that are spawning. That's probably a better gun. It's kind of hard doing this with the beam rifle. Sometimes I'll use a carbine, sometimes I'll use a sentinel beam if there's not a carbine nearby. Or if I get a sentinel beam really early. So now we're waiting for a group of fuel rod heretic grunts. So got that guy there, and I believe our allies got the other guy. So now we're just making our way over to this door, which finally opens. There you see the sword cancel there. I just don't want that guy chasing me, so we're just going to be canceling down all of these hallways here. Canceling isn't too bad. The important thing is the reticle does have to be red, so if you're a tiny bit late, like you saw earlier, we'll just do a normal lunge. And here they actually spawned that grunt directly underneath me, so I just kind of stopped walking for a minute. That was pretty funny. Gonna grab a fresh sword here because we're gonna need it for the next mission. And then almost goofed that one there, but cancel off that guy. I'm also gonna grab a sentinel beam. That's also gonna be very useful for the start of the next mission. Okay, so there's a door on either side of this room here, and I believe I don't get the right door. There's a 50-50 chance one of them will open, so it's best to just wait by one and hope that you're right. And I believe... yeah, it's the other side that opens, so that's okay. Just gonna fight our way through here. And grab a Banshee. And now, the latter part of this mission is a giant escort mission with that Phantom that you saw on the right side. But you can actually go to the final area and enter it early as all of the enemies are pouring out of it. So, we're just going to fly straight there. And get inside. I'm at the end of Arbiter. Again, somewhere around 4 minutes is typically what I look for, and that was, I believe, a 4:31, so... a little sloppy, but not too bad. Okay, so the Oracle. The Oracle is the longest mission in the run by quite a bit. It's pretty infamous for how slow it is. At the start there, I'm going to kill 2 grunts, and again, that just skips some dialogue in the next room here. This is the first mission where we get introduced to the Flood. So, there's actually a bunch of Flood bodies just sitting here, and I'm going to be destroying them all so that when the infection forms show up later on, they don't reanimate the bodies. It's just less enemies to fight that way. So what I'm trying to do here is get back up top and go to, like I said, Bungie renders pretty much everything in their game. So I'm trying to access that top compartment up there that you see in the ceiling. And you can actually kill a bunch of the infection form early. But I think at this point, that climb's a little inconsistent, and I suck. I'll say it. So, I think I just decide to skip over it. It just saves a little bit, because you can kill a bunch of these. And these are the infection form, the little popcorn guys. So, I just gotta take out as many as I can. Wait for this door to open. I'm gonna grab a fresh sentinel beam that's just sitting there. And then when the door opens... this is the infamous elevator section. This has been a skip Halo 2 runners have been wanting for pretty much since the game came out. Unfortunately... oh, and I'm just trying to kill this guy so he doesn't accidentally bump into me or throw grenades or, you know, do anything that could make me die on the elevator. It's just safer that way. And you saw the popcorn guy jump inside the downed body. That's what I mean by reanimating. See, he's back up now. But, I believe the actual, like, death plane is not tied to the map layout. It's tied to the elevator itself. So you can't go within a certain distance below the elevator. So we could technically just drop straight down, but you'll die well before it. And unfortunately, I don't think there's any way to get down there It's been a skip we've been wanting for years and years and years now. So here I'm looking for enemies to spawn up any of these two sideways here. But I believe in this run, I don't think I got any spawns. And so the elevator just proceeded on its own. Very weird. Don't know if that's a consistent thing or who knows. But we've just got a few waves on the elevator now, and then we can make our way into the next section. Here you can see me zooming in and checking for enemies, just trying to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. And even shooting the beam to try and alert enemies that they can try and rush me. But we carry on. And so here the second wave of sentinels is going to pop up, and that's our indication that it's almost time to jump down. I'm going to grab the sentinels here, and then when this starts to move downwards again, I'm kind of parking by the spot here. And again, just checking for enemies, but we do go down. So, and here's something to note. I didn't get a checkpoint at the start. I got one right as I jumped in this run. That's right. But I heard one of the flood come up behind me, and so I kind of jumped a bit early, so he didn't just knock me off. That checkpoint's... Jumping in this game is a little weird. It's not the best, and so having a checkpoint there is usually really important. And a thing to note here with a lot of the carriers, that's those big guys, is whenever they go down, they explode. So, and they shoot out a bunch of the popcorn. So, whenever they topple over, if you throw a plasma at them, they'll die a little bit faster, but they also won't spawn any of the popcorn. They'll all just explode. So, it's usually best there, but you only have so many grenades. And I tend to use a couple for these guys as well. The Heretic Elites. And this room has been dubbed the bullshit room because if you saw there, they started throwing boxes and you can get splattered on the boxes if you're not careful. So, yeah, this room is a mess. And again, we're just waiting for that door to open. And again, you can get splattered on those boxes. It's killed more runs, and our checkpoint, I believe, is the one that I got as I was descending off the elevator. So, you know, if one of those were to hit me and splatter me, I mean, that's multiple minutes gone. So I'm just going to take out the last few flood, and I'm actually going to grab my carbine again very soon. That's pretty important. Also gonna grab this fresh sword here. I believe the door opens. I realize that carbine isn't reloaded. Hey, nice screenshot. Unfortunately, you need enemies to be pretty far away from that door, otherwise it won't close, so I had to kill that guy anyway. Screenshot uploaded to the Xbox network. Very exciting. Okay, so now starts the fun part of the mission. So we've got some cool movement here. With the sword. We're going to make our way into the center room here. And the reason the carbine is important, there are 4 Flood and 3 Sentinels that we have to kill quickly in order for the cutscene to start. So I'm going to try and look for the Sentinels and grab as many of the Flood as I can. And there I do something you should never do, which is use the sword to kill a Sentinel because you go down to such low health. And here I'm looking for this last guy. Okay. And so this jump here, that I goof, of course, saves a little bit of walking around, as does this grenade jump here. And this is one of the few MCC-specific tricks in the run for the anniversary version. I'm going to activate the elevator and then activate it again. And I think, actually, I didn't hear it come back down, so I had to just make sure. But I'm going to stand underneath it, and it's going to launch me straight upwards. And that skips having to, 1, ride the elevator, but 2, notably, it actually gives us infinite health. We can no longer take damage. So, this section is going to be us cutting the 3 cables. So, we just have to wait for some dialogue here. And that dude gave me the homie bump of the century. And as you see by my shields, no damage. And I even camoed before that, and the camo is still fine. Okay, so because we didn't take the elevator up, we actually need to wait by here. And after a little bit, jump down. And unfortunately, by doing this, if you jump a little early, you can get extra gravity. But you can spam the crouch button and you'll descend a little bit. So it's not too bad. I'm going to cut through there. And I'm going to make our way down here. If you get a good sentinel spawn, you can cancel straight away. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. And now that the cutscene plays, we get a nice 8-second or so Banshee section. Yeah. That was fun, right? Thankfully, because of that, the gravity problem is no longer an issue, so now we're just normal. So this is actually the previous mission, the Arbiter, but in reverse. So the layout is exactly the same. We're just going to go in reverse order. And make our way back to the hangar. Sometimes there are enemy spawns, but they're usually in pretty bad spots. Like that one you see, I pretty much just went straight into them. So sometimes you can get some movement here, but it's usually nothing significant and nothing... If you get it, it's just kind of like a bonus. Alright, one final set of ramps. And now we get to the first boss fight of the game. And, I'm just gonna hop up here, lunge at him, and shoot him, and, boss is dead. That was fun, right? 13-10, and with some sloppy bits at the start. Not too bad. Okay, so Delta Halo is one of my more favorite missions to run in the game. It's really, really short, it's really fast, and it has lots of cool tech to it. So straight away, we're going to do a grenade jump here, and that just saves like a second or so from having to walk around. And this is normally like a giant fight sequence with multiple waves of phantoms, but you can just go this way and skip it all. I believe you're supposed to wait for a warthog, and then you can drive over here, but nah, slow. So, as you can see in the corner there, they are uh, bringing a bridge back up. So, ideally, you go inside the structure, you reactivate the bridge, and then you go across it. But, that's really slow. So, what we're going to do is grab this ghost here and park it in kind of a specific spot and launch ourselves across with a grenade. That's called ghost launch. Really, really cool trick. That's one of the first things I learned when running this game. Shout out Aster Quasi. And then from here, just maneuvering the ghost around a little bit. And there's a giant out-of-bounds sequence you can do here, but it's really, really hard, and pretty much only used on easy if you're trying to go for record. It saves, I think, maybe, like, close to a minute, but really, really hard, and you pretty much only get one shot at it. You have to drive upwards at one point, up a slope, and just barely touch this checkpoint that I'm about to get. It's really hard, and this way only loses a little bit of time. I should also mention at this point, I'm gonna start grabbing grenades, as well as a pretty specific weapon setup that we're gonna need for the next mission. So, gonna grab some grenades here. Gonna grab a beam rifle out of that canister. I'm gonna hold on to my rocket launcher for now, because we're approaching the temple here. There's gonna be 4 elites that spawn, and so we're just gonna have to kill them as quickly as possible. Going to shoot a rocket at that guy. And here I realize that his sword actually goes down. So I'm gonna maneuver around this guy and then grab a sword. And that guy's still up there for some reason, but that's okay. I believe this was just under 4 minutes, and that's usually pretty good. Typical is like between 3:30 and 4 minutes, somewhere around there. So, pretty good. Okay, so this is Regret. Other than a mission that's coming up a little bit later, this is probably one of the more technical planets. Yep, playing a lot of Ratchet and Clank. This is one of the more technical missions in the game. I think it's so funny whenever I do that, whenever I say planets instead of missions or stages or whatever. So here I'm actually looking for a spawn, a jackal spawn. That's pretty important. On higher difficulties, it's an extremely common spawn, but on easy, it's not very. So we got here second try. This is going to be sword flying, so if I can hit it. There we go. So basically, whenever you are zoomed in and your reticle is red... Oh, here I actually blew all of my grenades early, so I had to use a frag grenade. And I actually overshoot this, and I don't make it onto the guns. I just barely miss it, so I have to revert again anyway. But that's okay, because that'll give you some time to explain sword flying, because it's going to be pretty common throughout the rest of the run. So, I get the spawn again, thankfully. When you zoom in with the weapon, the reticle is red. And if you press Y to swap weapons, then the very next frame in this version of the game runs at 60 frames per second. You press X and you cancel your reload animation, or you reload to cancel the animation. And then a few frames after, you press right trigger to fire the weapon. Your weapon is now the sword, and you can use it to cross huge gaps. So, sorry, I blew all my grenades there, and I forgot I had to do some platforming to get around there without any grenades. So, let me explain this again. Reticle is red. You press Y to swap to the sword. There, your next frame, you press X. That'll reload your quote-unquote gun and cancel the animation of the weapon swap. A few frames after that, you press right trigger. And you fire your weapon, which is now the sword. And so, you can do the sword lunge way farther than intended. And a fun thing to note, that was actually patched out of this version, and most versions outside of the unupdated 1.0 patch of the game. But due to fan demand, it was actually brought back and patched back in, and so there we hit a nice trick shot. That was for the fans. Due to fan demand, it was patched back in, and it's been extremely important to the speedrun and making this particular version of the game the optimal version. I believe the patch was done in 2017 or 2018. And pretty much since then, this has just been the de facto version of the game. Okay, so coming up here, we have another fly. This mission kind of works like a palindrome. So it's going to be one section, one gondola, underwater section, the actual, like, underwater chamber, another underwater section, another gondola, and then the final area. So we hit that fly. Very beautiful. I'm going to grab a fresh beam rifle. And, can't find the edge, unfortunately. I think at this point I might have been still tilted about me missing the gondola, because it's really, really rare. I'm gonna grab the fuel rod from up top here, and where I'm positioned and the way I'm doing this, we actually skip a bunch of drone spawns. So just gonna be taking out all the jackals, and here I'm waiting for a certain dialogue cue. I'm gonna go back and grab our beam rifle again. And then when Cortana is done speaking, this elevator is going to come back up. And this is going to be the first underwater traveling section. So you can actually sometimes kill these jackals early if you throw the grenade. It just goes right through the ceiling. But that didn't happen this time, unfortunately. So this is pretty much just an auto-scroller at this point. We're just going to be waiting for this section. For some reason, this elevator floats underwater and happens to go to a very specific spot in the underwater temple. I don't know. It's never really explained. Okay. So now we're in the underwater section. And even this is a bit of a palindrome in itself. So right here, we're going to try and get a cancel off with this grunt here. And I kind of goof it, unfortunately. And then we have this big open area, and on the other door, there's going to be 2 hunters coming out, so we're going to try, and hopefully they don't block us, and squeeze our way right in. Very nice. And these enemies are all cloaked here, so unfortunately we can't really do any movement off them because the reticle isn't red. But we've got this guy. We're going to grab his sword and make our way back down to underwater travel number 2. And again, pretty much an auto-scroller. Okay, so coming out of here, we're going to hit a cancel off of this drone here, or try to at least. Again, unfortunately, enemy spawns here are random. I just barely make it on there. And that skips some walking around, and we can enter the last part of this section from above and make our way over to the second gondola. And now, fortunately, we have some weapons on here that we're going to use to our advantage. We have the rocket launcher here and the sniper rifle. Going to be 2 banshees that spawn here, and the rocket launcher is going to be really useful at taking those out because of the lock-on. So, 1 there, and 1 on somewhere. There he is. It's usually 1 on either side, but sometimes they spawn. two on the same side for some reason. And then with our last two rockets, this gondola approaching us now has two jetpack elites. So we're going to use our rockets to try and damage them early, and then with the sniper rifle, kill them very quickly. And then I like squid flying with the beam rifle. I just feel very consistent with it. It really doesn't matter. I think it's more of a mental thing, so I'll grab the beam rifle again anyway. And now we're approaching the final temple. And again, we're just waiting on some spawns here. And we're going to fly straight into the cutscene trigger. And some cool movement here. We're actually coming up on boss fight number 2. Which is the regret fight. We're going to do a sword board here. We're going to lunge at him and then immediately board. And boss is dead. I almost killed myself there, which would have been really funny. I normally throw a grenade down there because sometimes the sword elites will rush you and you can get lunged at after you kill regret, and so it normally just pushes them away. Other than the start, which again is a little tricky sometimes, not too bad. Alright, Sacred Icon. Sacred Icon is a pretty easy mission. This is one of the... In fact, these next two are not very intricate. They have lots of downtime. This is another one with just always, basically. So, I'll grab 2 plasma rifles right at the start. And we're going to activate this piston. And get used to seeing these tunnels here, these little slides that you have to take. And so the pattern for doorways here is left, right, left, right. So we took the left path there. We're going to activate this one. And right path. This mission, I think, is kind of supposed to be a fake out at first. Because it's pretty tame. There's no real enemies. Like, there's a few sentinels flying about, but that's really it. And they normally won't even target you. Like, you see one there. And they're just like, oh. But nothing serious. Okay, so now we come outside here. There's these 4 locked pistons that we have to shoot, and we're going to try and shoot them on our way to the button. And then activate the lock override. And everyone wave goodbye, by the way. There he goes. And now we're going to wait for this elevator to move. So once this door opens, I'm going to wait and try and shoot the Enforcer's arm off. And then, not with that first one, though, but I'm going to try and stick him a few times here. And then grab our second plasma rifle again. I'm going to cloak. And use the momentum of the elevator rising to get through that door a little easier. And then this ledge, as you see, there's like barricades all throughout there, so it's just a much cleaner line if you go up top there and just go over all that. I'm going to camo once again and try and, unfortunately they push me back there, but try and get through there as smoothly as I can. Unfortunately, one of the popcorn hit me there, so kind of had to go around. These carriers can be really annoying because, again, they blow up when they hit a certain proximity to you. So I try and jump over this one, and then I camo immediately to try and stop anyone from rushing me while I fall down there. And then this is just some more hallways, some more bridges. This is actually, if you've never played this game casually, this is a gorgeous level, in my opinion. Like, there's just so much cool structures and architecture, and the design of everything is really cool. I know a lot of people don't like this mission, but I've always enjoyed it. Even if it's purely for the visuals. The end part's kind of cool, but we'll get there. So, we're going to activate this piston here. And then slide our way down. And I didn't mention it the first time, but I'm going to try and position myself so that I don't land on that middle strip there. You just fall down a little faster. I'm going to activate this piston, and then get rid of the plasma rifles and pick up the sword. And this slide is going to take us to the outdoor section. And sometimes you can get a spawn right there, and you can sword fly across this gap, but I didn't get anyone, unfortunately, so I had to go around. It's not that much slower. The fly saves a couple seconds, but it's always nice. Okay, so this is the outdoor section. We're going to try and clear out all of the flood. Right here, I'm actually shooting sticking, rather, the turrets. So that Shipmaster, and I don't know why that one didn't work, but okay. So Shipmaster doesn't get in there. Shipmaster has a sword, and the sword is way more effective at taking out flood than the turrets are, so we want him to use it. And this end section, unfortunately, is a little RNG. Sometimes enemies spawn in just ridiculous places, or they won't come out of... You see, there's, like, pitfalls everywhere. Sometimes they won't come out of there, and so you just kind of have to be aware of where the spawns are, and just constantly be running back and forth, trying to check and see if anyone is stuck or what have you. We are waiting on a phantom to spawn. That's going to be our end trigger. Here I'm waiting for some dialogue from this guy, but I think he may or may not have already said it, and it just got covered up with enemy spawns or whatnot, but... And they are, I don't know what Shipmaster's doing there. That's odd. So I'm constantly checking my radar to see if anyone is nearby. There can't be any enemies. Well, I guess more specifically, Shipmaster can't be in combat with anything. In order for the level to end. So, here's our Phantom. And hopefully the mission will end very soon. And there we go. 842. Not too bad. Again, that end fight is a bit random sometimes, so... Okay, Quarantine Zone. Quarantine Zone is divided into two sections. The first section is the driving section, and the second section is the piss break, water break, coffee break, snack break, nap time, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so the driving section, pretty much just gonna be running through everything. Much like with Metropolis earlier, there's gonna be a part where the game wants you to get out of the ghost and go on foot, and we're just not gonna do that. But an important thing to note about that is you can actually soft lock if you miss a load zone if you go too fast. So I'm going to be slowing down at certain parts. This gap here, you can jump across, and it's a little bit faster than going all the way down. So here the game wants you to get out, but you can very easily get the ghost around this. And so these like connecting tunnels here, I'm going to go pretty slow during to make sure that I hit the load zones. And the cue here is that Enforcer dying. So we need to drive pretty carefully to make sure that the Enforcer doesn't pick us up, because that'll instantly kill us. And then weave into here, again going pretty slow. And then this final one, this is the one tricky part where being in a ghost is a little weird. And here I notice that the Wraith isn't there. And so I immediately know at this point that I've soft locked. So I revert, and for that last gap, it's usually a bit easier just to revert. I had a pretty decent checkpoint, so it's not too big of a deal. And here I actually get the ghost stuck, but the ghost is in a pretty decent spot, so I can just fight my way through it. There is a backup ghost, I don't know if you can see it, onto the left side there, so I can always just take that. Unfortunately, Halo 2 physics, everybody. Thankfully, the rocket flood didn't blow up my ghosts, even though he tried a lot, but, yeah. Bit of a hiccup, not too big of a deal. Moving onward. Gauss Hog took a really weird turn there. Yeah, everything was just not a fan of me. For reference, you normally want to hit the gondola by around the 3-minute mark, and I'm gonna hit it about 40-ish seconds after that. Okay, but that's the end of the driving section. So, this is normally, like, this gondola is, like, 4.5 minutes long, and you're just waiting for wave after wave after wave of flood, and you're constantly scrambling for guns, but if you make your way up here, and climb all the way up to the top, and then clip out of bounds, and land on this ledge, uh, you can just wait the 4.5 minutes here, and nothing will ever bother you. So, I encourage, if you're currently watching this video, now would be a good time for piss break, coffee break, snack break, nap time, whatever. I'm gonna go do the same. I'll see you in about a minute. Okay, so we've still got about 2 minutes on this gondola left, so I'm gonna use this time to explain the next mission. The next mission is Gravemind, and it's probably the most difficult mission in the entire run. On legendary difficulty, it's hands down the most difficult, even casually, with taking your time, and oh my god, the combat is so brutal on that mission. But in context of the speedrun, there is a pretty big sequence break that we're gonna do. It was one of the last major things to be discovered in Halo 2. So, you're going to try and position an enemy brute at a very specific spot to where he's going to punch us. We're going to fall backwards into an elevator, into a lift, and he's going to be positioned over top of us. He's going to come down with us. We're going to hit a certain load zone, and then by pressing melee and jump at the same time, and then immediately after pressing X to cancel the animation, we were actually going to butterfly and ascend all the way back up top. And this skips the prison section, which is normally a few minutes long and really, really tedious, and there was bad spawns, and oh my god, it was a mess. And so, not only does this skip all of that, but it's actually going to save multiple minutes. However, it is a little finicky. Getting the brutes to behave is sometimes not always in the cards, and there's also sometimes some weird extra spawns, and sometimes they don't go in the right position, so it's a bit inconsistent, but it is totally worth going for, and especially because you can get a checkpoint right before it, and you can try it multiple times if you need to. But it is just way faster than doing the prison section conventionally. Okay. So, on the Gravemind. Something else to note is at the very start, you start off with a Needler, which is an incredibly inconsistent weapon. So I'm going to try and backsmack that grunt there and kill this brute. And as you saw, half of those needles missed, so I'm just going to revert and try this again. It's usually a bit faster, and you don't have that much ammo, so it's very important that I get that combine off, and then we're going to get this brute with another combine. And then when this door opens, grab the last grunt. And here I'm going to position myself in a pretty precise spot. And that's actually going to skip a wave of reinforcements. And you'll know you got it because you're going to see checkpoint done. And then we're going to have the idle animation. And then right after, checkpoint done. And now we're going to grab our second Needler. And this is going to open up, and another wave of brutes is going to show up. We're going to try and kill both of them while moving backwards. And again, as you see, very inconsistent guns. So, I'm actually pretty low on ammo at this point, but there's one final brute up there who is in kind of a... he's in a pretty bad spot, but he finally comes back out now. And that's the opening fight. And like I said, on Legendary, and with the gun being so bad, that's really brutal. You can actually die before the cutscene fade in. It is over. Pretty funny. Okay, so now that we're out of there, we're going to move on ahead. This is another fight that you're supposed to do, and then Cortana's going to actually reverse the grav lift so that it goes down. You see enemies are ascending up, but we can just jump down and land on some geometry there. Grabbing this beam rifle is extremely important because we're going to need it for later on. The weapons that I have now are extremely important to setting up a prison skip. I got kind of pushed into a weird spot there, so that's unfortunate. Okay, so this is the hallway preceding the prison skip. So here I'm going to kill 6 grunts as quickly as I can. And then stand in this spot. And I believe... yeah, I get the checkpoint anyway. Even though that guy stuck around. So here, I'm going to stand in a very specific spot with the beam rifle out. We're just going to punch once. And there we go. So now I just need to wait for loading done. And then we're going to start our butterfly. And there's actually a brute on top of him that thankfully rolled over. And now there's a jackal on top of him, but that's okay. As soon as we see the speed boost here, we know that we're in it. So, a little slow, but again, that is a... getting it first try, even with it being a little slow, is just... can't really ask for much more than that. Okay, so... the entire second half of this run, of this mission, is movement-based. you're going to be canceling and flying and grenade jumping and everything. So it's pretty wild. This once you get past Prison Skip, this is definitely my favorite mission to run. So I threw those grenades there to try and keep that fight occupied while I hit this fly. We're gonna land up top here, and I actually get pushed off because I had so much momentum, so that's okay. That only loses a few seconds. And now we have this lift. This mission from this point on is also a bit of a palindrome, so it just kind of works backwards. There was an outdoor section, a grab lift, a fight, and then in reverse order from there. If you're gonna climb up top here, it's way faster than going around, and by grenade jumping over here, we can just skip having to walk across the railing there. We're gonna land back on the lift. You can actually fly over to those brutes. It saves a couple seconds, but not as consistent. Something I didn't mention as well, while you are doing sword tech, there is a chance that you can do what's called a midair stop. And so you just saw it there. I midair stopped from the drone, and it killed all of my momentum. It happens. I just think it's funny that pretty much every single game that I run, there's something called a midair of some sort. So again, same thing. Get up top, grenade jump across. And then ease our way back down. Right there, I try to go for a fly. That'll just bring you upwards to these guys a little easier. And then I try to do a cancel back up, but that actually just pushed me out of the way. There, I was trying to do a fly off that grunt. And with some precise precisioning. Precise positioning. Oh my god, dude. Y'all tell I've been doing this for over an hour now? You can redirect and you can land dead center. It's a bit faster, but that backup is fine. There again is another midair stop. You can normally cut over that barrier there. So here I'm going to pick up the fuel rod, and that's going to be very important for the last room. No real good spawns here to try and cancel off of, but that's fine. Sometimes you can hit one and go flying across this room. But that didn't happen, unfortunately. Okay, so this is the last room. There are 3 silver elites, 2 drones, 2 hunters, and then a bunch of brutes. And they have to get killed in that order in order to make the final door open early. So here I'm going to grab the silver elites. Sometimes the drones get taken out early, so I believe that happened in this run. I'm looking for them now, but I don't see them, so I'm going to grab the hunters here. And grab the last few brutes. Cortana shows up in that middle pedestal there, as you see. So wait for her. And then make her way over to the last door. And this should open early. And then there's this final sword elite. Some people like to fly over him. I never do because, you know, especially if I'm on like good pace. I'm on, we're in there for a PB. I just got done the hardest mission. I don't want that dude swiping at me. Especially because by doing prison skip, checkpoints are usually few and far between, so taking a death can literally just kill the run, so not taking any chances there. Okay, Uprising. Uprising is the shortest mission in the run by a pretty large amount. Some people have gotten under 2 minutes, even without butterflying. I believe my fastest time is like 2:02 or something, so that should give you an idea of how fast it is. Straight away, I'm gonna hop around this ledge here, skip some walking around. I fire my gun a little bit to alert this brute so that I can cancel off him, and thankfully he doesn't knock me off there. And again, that just skips some walking around. Right here, I'm going to land on the lamppost and then make our way over. And again, that skips some walking around. It's going to be a reoccurring theme here. Then cancel off that jackal. And there I try and hold that brute still so I can get around the hallway here. And then go through this door. And again, oh, hi, Vol. This footage was taken from a run that I did live over on twitch.tv/marathonman. So if you enjoy the commentary so far, if you want to go ahead, drop a follow. I do runs pretty much every day of a bunch of different games. Okay, so here's an important thing to note. I grabbed the fuel rod. I'm going to damage boost my way up backwards and get up top here. And by going out of bounds here, this is actually approaching the final area. So normally you have to like take a ghost and drive all the way down and go in and out of a bunch of rooms, and it kind of snakes back around. But I'm going to stand in a pretty specific spot, and that's going to end the mission early. So 2:11, pretty good, especially in a full run setting. Okay, so hi, Charity. So something to note, one of the other last things to get discovered for Halo 2 is a trick called High Charity Butterfly. It is extremely difficult. It's at the very end of the run. You can actually, the same sort of thing that I did during the prison skip on Gravemind, you can do off of a flood from the very start and carry that across all the way over to the final trigger. It's pretty much only done if you're trying to contend for world record. It's really difficult. It can fall apart at any point, and again, it's at the very end of the run, so for most people, we're just gonna avoid that altogether. On Legendary, it's a bit different because this has a ton of brutal combat. This particular spot on Legendary, you can die very quickly with the drones, and a door's gonna open over to my right with flood coming out of it. So it's really, really hard. It's pretty much only done if you're inconsistent, or if you're in contention for world record. So we're gonna be doing full path. I kind of glossed over a bunch of stuff. but you know, I sort of flew over to that middle part, and then I had to wait for the other side to unfold, and then made my way over there. Here we're going to be canceling down some hallways. And this is a pretty short mission to begin with, normally around the 4-minute mark again. So here I try and cancel off this jackal, but he kind of moved in a weird spot, and I got caught on the side there, so that cost a couple seconds. So, something to note here, I'm trying to kill this flood guy, but he kind of moved in a weird way. And then, unfortunately, he dropped back down. So I grabbed the rocket launcher. That's going to be really useful for this last section. So we're going to activate the elevator here. And in this next room, I need 2 brutes and 2 jackals to die. And if I remember correctly, in this run, the jackals spawn in a really weird spot, and they don't die straight away, so that cost me some time. So I try and get most of them out of the way, but as you see, one of the brutes jumped out the way. That's both of the brutes down. Here I'm waiting by the door, and then I realize that the jackals are in a weird spot. Neither one of them died to the rockets, so... And even here they gave me some trouble. And now I'm, unfortunately, really far away from the door. But, there we go. Alright, and then this last section is going to be one final stretch of hallway. Here I'm looking for someone to try and cancel off of, but they're just all in really bad spots, unfortunately. So, but that's the end of the mission. Pretty sloppy room right before the final grab lift, so... Alright. The Great Journey, the last mission. So, at the start here, I'm gonna board the side seat. No, just kidding. I'm gonna try and get into the Spectre, and you have to do it pretty fast. So, sometimes you can't really see what prompt you're on, so that happens. Here I'm gonna try and board this Ghost here. And it's just a little bit faster than the Spectre is. And again, we have 2 raids here. We're just going to try and board them really quickly. Gonna punch the top door open. And then throw a grenade in. And that makes this door open. And here we're just gonna make our way through some hallways. Make our way around here. Cut this corner. I actually landed on top of one of the brutes, so that was almost really bad. I'm gonna grab a beam rifle here. That's really important for later on. And then entering this room here, I'm going to grab the sword from up top. You need at least 3 brutes to die here, and I just threw the grenade as that dude walked in front, so here I'm trying to grab the last few brutes. I realize at this point the door is open, so I try and squeeze my way in. I cancel over that guy, which is really nice. And then there are 4 brutes over by the scarab, so I stick 2 of them straight away. And then try and aim for the back with the sword. And nice and easy. That was really smooth. Okay, so now I'm going to actually head back inside and deload a bunch of enemies, and that'll actually make the scarab's walking sequence start a little bit earlier. So this Banshee's in kind of a weird spot, but that's okay. We're gonna fly over this way and take care of 2 scarabs that are coming around the corner here. First one nice and easy. Second one, a little bit of trouble, but the scarab has a long way to go. It's pretty slow, so we've got time. And there's going to be a wraith on either corner here, so we're just going to grab those really fast. And then from here, we're actually going to park the Banshee in a pretty specific spot and then wait for the scarab to come down. And the reason we park this here, because we can actually enter the loading trigger for the final boss sequence from outside here by flying at a very specific spot. So from here, we're just going to wait for the scarab. So here he's coming along now. But once the Scarab gets into position, I'm going to start looking at this door, and by looking at the door, this should blow up in 2 Scarab Blasts. And immediately after, I'm going to fly towards this corner here. Okay, so I'm going to try and kill this brute right here in particular in order to grab the shotgun. So how this boss fight works is Tartarus has a big shield that can only be taken down by 3 headshots in rapid succession by Johnson. But by having our own beam rifle, we can kind of make this go a little bit faster. And unfortunately, I'm a little far away with the shotgun, so it's not doing as much damage as I would like it to. And that grenade there was a really desperate cry, and he almost really did it to me there, but we got him down, and that's the end of the run. So the final time on this run with the Halo runs timing method was a 1:30:15. So just barely off the sub 1:30. Which with this route, I think ideally around like a 1:25 or maybe even a 1:20. There's still lots of things I can clean up, but definitely, you know, after 7-8 years of running this game, I'm pretty happy with the improvement and just seeing. It's just fun to play this game again, honestly. I think I really burnt out on it for a while, but it's just fun to play this game again. So, if you enjoyed, I want to thank everyone for watching this. Be sure to subscribe to the Speed Archive channel and let me know if you liked these commentaries so far. I've heard a lot of good things about them from the people that saw the previous ones that I did. Be sure to once again follow me over at twitch.tv/marathonman. I stream speedruns of various games pretty much every day, so I'm sure there's something of interest, whether it's more Halo runs or PlayStation games or what have you. Alright, thank y'all for watching.